Hey everyone, this is Phil here from Northern Wild Harvest. If you're new to our channel, we are going to be doing some adventure foraging today. Because we harvest commercially, we tend to travel way out to wilderness areas. So right now we are in the middle of the Yukon Territory wilderness and we are harvesting wild morel mushrooms from previous year forest fires. Today we are going to be going back to a fire that we've had some good harvests from. It has been discovered by other harvesters. With forest fire morels, it's very different than harvesting natural morels in, say, the eastern United States or eastern Canada. There's different science to it, there's different methods, and it's usually where commercial harvesters will go. So the fire we're going to, we have to hike through a bog, and the whole fire is either in these horrible bent over trees that try to catch on your body, or you're walking on hills. We're gonna go hit that one more time, see what we can get, and try to see if there's new flushes of the later stage fire morels, the rare varieties. If they're coming in, then we have a reason to be excited. If they're not showing, then we need to finish up there on that fire today, basically, and then start looking at the few remaining fires left. With that said, let's get into another foraging adventure. Okay, so the fire we're going to doesn't have any roads. And so to minimize any disruption to the ground, we are going to be walking in on foot as per usual and carrying pack boards. The baskets we're harvesting in have holes and the buckets have holes, so that lots of holes in the bottom, so that spores can escape to green forest as we walk. Now what happens with forest fire morels, they're symbiotic with their host tree. They have a mycorrhizal relationship. When the trees die from burning, the morels are able to switch to being saprotrophic. So that means that they're living off the decaying matter. So they rapidly spread out through the decaying matter and flush fruiting bodies, the morel, in abundance following the fire. And the reason the mycelium is doing this, as far as we know, is to try to get some spore to areas that still have some living trees. So the mushroom actually wants to be picked and spread around in this case. The best thing we can do for the mycelium is to carry them out in a way that allows the spores to escape as we walk. Or you can go back in with a spore slurry or spore pads. We're too remote to do that. I mean, sometimes we're 8 kilometers into the bush. Going out there with a slurry just isn't economical. And so the best thing we can do is try to walk through long distances with our packs, and the spores are falling off the mushrooms as we walk and spreading to green forests. That's exactly why the morels are growing in a forest fire, so that animals and the wind can spread that spore to those areas. Kind of like a Johnny Appleseed type scenario. So let's load up some gear. We're also going to be going and getting fresh water from a local spring. All right, we'll see you later. Klondike Highway, only road in this entire area. Just watched a guy go that way with an Argo for a 6-wheel drive vehicle. And it's starting to rain, so we might get wet today, but we'll pick as long as we can and make the most of it. Mosquitoes. Yep. Somebody came up here with a quad. All right, we're almost at the burn. Last time we were here, we left hundreds of mushrooms because of worm contamination in this section of the burn. Walking back through here 4 days later, we noticed that every single mushroom we had left behind had been harvested. So if you watched our previous episodes in this patch, we've done pretty well in here. Best patch we found this season. The weather hasn't been great for morels this season. But today we're going to approach it a little differently. We're going to cut right over with our pack boards to where we left the most babies, because other harvesters have found this patch now. We just don't want to risk leaving our pack boards too far away from where we're harvesting. Yeah, it's been hit pretty hard. Finding wormy mushrooms in a patch doesn't always mean that they're an issue throughout the entire burn. But the first 500 meters we walked through had reached a point where we weren't willing to harvest there anymore. Sometimes we will check a spot and leave a wormy mushroom that's been cut laying on the ground. We noticed that even those had been taken. It's possible that whoever harvested here after us did not know how to identify if there's worm contamination, but it also speaks to how difficult this season has been across BC and the Yukon. Yeah. So I definitely left a good amount of small mushrooms here on this stretch, and there's nothing, you know. So it's been completely cleaned out by their harvesters. Some areas we know of that they might not have found or hit, so we'll check those. So way in the distance over there, there's a hillside we haven't tried going to yet, and it has burn on it, but we've got to brave this section of green, which looks kind of nasty. We'll weave our way through there and check that unexplored area. It'd be hard to find a good path through this. Get swallowed by the young boreal forest here. Not too bad. Here's all the Labrador tea here. Now this is north facing, but with the other hillside over there having mushrooms 2.5+ weeks ago, usually by now a north face would be producing, if it's going to produce. When the weather's good and it's a good year, as soon as the south faces start to go bad, mushrooms are too old, you often come to a north face and they're in the perfect stage. It's always worth looking. This might not be one of those times. So this is obviously forest that burned more recently than the other side of the patch. Younger trees that have regrown, probably about 30 years. All right, so there's nothing up here on this side for us. We're gonna cut back through and then walk our way up this hill, way up to the very top and up and over the mountain. Really looking for now is more of these lawns. This species is just starting to grow. If we're going to do well today, we need to find an area where there's a bunch of these. Whew. Okay, we just hiked from that burnt hill way over there to up here. Way in the distance you can see a wildfire was being harvested 3 years ago when I was here, and it was a huge fire, over 100,000 hectares, whereas this one is only 3,300, and most of it you can't walk to. There's a picker down below us, so we've got to climb a little bit higher, get right up over the top of this hill. It's the only spot we haven't really looked at in a while. Some blown out mushrooms right there. This is the very top. So, if there's no mushrooms here, this is probably a bit of a bust. Oh, there's a few nice big ones. Not bad. Beauties. One or two nice ones though. This is what I came up here to find. A few grays. So we're gonna leave that one, we're gonna leave that one, and we're gonna take these. And those are nice quality. Sometimes it's bittersweet when you find a mushroom, because in that case there was 5 grays and didn't see any more babies coming. The weather's been warm, it's rained, so it's nice to find the mushrooms, but at the same time I can already tell there's not going to be a very good flush here right now. So 3 more grays right there, and then nothing else around this tree. They're still small, more could still come, but how long will it take? Every day we're up here we spend money, and right now we're probably going backwards per day, even though we're working hard. Oh, look at that one. All we can really do now is start walking out of here and keep looking for mushrooms on our way out. Hopefully we can find a few. The dark jungle. Well, I didn't turn out quite as we hoped, but nobody got hurt, so that's a good thing. Ran into another picker on the way out. Sounds like there's not a lot going on. On the way home, we're gonna stop at the only locals place. There's one local in this whole area. We're gonna stop at her place and give her the morels that we picked today if she wants them. Just because she's been so nice to us. And maybe get some food while we're there, we'll see. So we've just stopped at the Moose Creek Lodge, and we went in and gave the owner some morels, and she was very thankful and gave each of us a butter tart and a cookie. She was awesome. Highly recommend this place, Moose Creek Lodge.
Her name's Maya. Go in and say hello.
Got a double rainbow. 2 rainbows. We didn't get very many mushrooms today, but we came back to camp and Randy had harvested a bunch of fireweed. We did a fireweed video early in our season here. Today we're actually going to make fermented fireweed tea rather than just dried fireweed. You can actually harvest the older plants, that's fine for this as well. And you strip the leaves off by hand with clean hands. So we did wash the charcoal off our hands for this. Bruise them with your hands by just sort of rolling them, and then put them into a bag like this to ferment. You can also use a jar, but over the next 24 hours, be able to change color to black, just like when you make black tea. There's no caffeine in it, but it's going to have a very nice black tea flavor with a bit of citrusy flavor as well. And then we're going to spread it out on racks once it's fermented and dry it completely. And that is how we're going to make fermented fireweed tea. It'll look similar to black tea. These are our mushrooms from yesterday. I just want to show you here some of these. So here is a greenie, Morel exuberans, and look how nicely that dried. That's dry, completely dry. So all of these are dried. Look at these morels. Right? There's a tomentosa gray. It was a bit of a slower day in terms of picking, but you know, it's still nice to be out here in the Yukon. It's just beautiful. And the lady at Moose Creek was just so happy that we gave her those morels. We are getting close to the end of our season here unless something changes. There's just not enough mushrooms out there and there's too many people. If you've watched up to this point, then thanks for watching. Hope it's been enjoyable. I know that the harvests this year haven't been as exciting as last year, but nonetheless, I hope that you've enjoyed seeing the Yukon wilderness. maybe even enjoyed us struggling our way through some remote burns, even though we didn't always succeed. Now you've seen what we picked, and based on what we've heard from other harvesters that have come up here in the last week, nobody's getting anywhere near the volume we were getting up in the Yukon here this year. It's just simply been a bad Morel year. And so considering all of that, we still did pretty good. It's better than nothing. And a lot of people have come up here, came all this way to harvest nothing. If you're a commercial Morel harvester, it goes a long way to be friendly to the people who live where you're harvesting. I really encourage people to be decent human beings. With what the Moose Creek lady said earlier, saying that she had a bad run-in with somebody, it's just sad to hear that, and it makes us all look bad. So, you know, if you're watching this video, just know that we're not all like that. And hopefully you can tell that from watching our videos. That'll probably conclude today. So we're just gonna sit around the fire and then probably go to bed and read our books. If you enjoyed the video, then hit the like and subscribe button to follow along. You can find our online shop linked in the description of the video. Thanks for watching.